We are back at the analyst desk before the game to look into this matchup, MNM versus Vanir. MNM still looking into the skies. Who knows what's going to happen?
And for me, MNM were, like I was saying in the pre-show, solid 4th place. I thought they'd kind of separated themselves from the pack. They are straight back down into the muddiness of this mid-table, and Vanir are the ones which have somehow managed to escape.
Which was funnily what I said back when you made that power ranking as well, Nine Victor. I think MNM's rise to, I don't want to call it fame, but their rise to the little top they had was a really good streak they had in front of them. But I also think we still saw the inconsistencies in some of their games. Granted, I think if you want to talk inconsistencies, Vanir is definitely one of them as well. But if you want to break it down and talk a little bit of the matchup, I think mid lane is a very fun part to focus on this team because on one side you get Zahira, who's sometimes a hit-or-miss champion. Like we've seen him pop off completely on the likes of Victor, but we've also seen him try and take the Seraph into the barrage against Corki, and it just has not worked out from his side.
Stop trying to make Seraph happen.
And then Royal
Cannon,
happening. I think he always gets the target bans against him. We've seen the Arcshan ban against him.
One of the few good Vex players in the league.
Exactly. So I think the pressure and the battle of the mid lane, especially between Noodle and Kano as well.
That's a great one.
Is going to be very fun to watch.
I'd say the jungle's where I'd keep my eyes first, actually, because both of them have, you know, we did the take about for Noodle.
To me, it's more like a mid-jungle 2v2. I just started at the mid lane.
I agree with that. Let's see if Hecarim is going to be open, but there we go. Action again being removed. They're not allowing him.
But it makes sense, right? Because every time I've seen this from MNM, the strongest part of MNM's game for me has been such a dominant early game. Action feels to me like the new age of Lucian mid. It's not quite the same, but you have this very, very dominant pre-6 power spike up until that
You
point.
just looked at the ultimate, you were like, yeah, it shoots bullets like the color.
It's the same.
He's a lane dominant, level 1 to 3 power spiking, AD mid laner / solo laner that can give you a lot of extra room for maneuver because you know that you're always going to have a HP advantage in the mid lane. You're always going to have a push advantage in the mid lane, which allows your jungler like Kana to play on the front foot. And against someone like Noodle and Vanir, who've also prized their early game, I don't think you can allow that to happen.
But we continue with these, what do you say, like, overloaded draft in a sense because we are on a new patch and it seems like B1 Jinx is just a fundamental that most teams are going back to. To me, honestly, I'd love seeing teams like you can have your bot lane, I'll pick Jace or something like that. We'll try and attack on the top side. Even if they 2 or 3 on Malphite here, you can always go Trundle on 3, completely neutralize that, try and neutralize that champion as well. But when I look at Kevo and I look at Quickset, I also know that Vanir is a bot side focused team. I just wish we had more teams where it's like, hey, let's attack top side. But I do think they're going to go rid of response in the bot lane.
The Zeri, that could be open. Okay, there we go. There's no cat to follow through, but you have a lot of things to bring with the Zeri.
Have you been suffering from symptoms of going too fast? Well, no worries. We're experts over here realizing when people are going too fast. And it looks like Kevo is going to be the one doing that. Of course, you can have Zeri in solo laners. At a push. Rarely do we see it, but the option's there. We've seen a couple of teams play that. The thing about Zeri is that you are not going to want to front to back a Jinx. You want to make sure you can have something like a Rise, have something that can engage around the sides and make sure that you can fight before the fight really builds up in earnest.
I think it's fine they secure an Enchanter here now as well because Lulu is super good with Jinx as well, so if you don't take it now, they would most likely take it themselves as well. On the side of MNM though, Sensao is still available, Hecarim is still available. This backline that we've quite often talked about from MNM is something you can go for, but it looks like they want to go for a pick where they can punish some of these champions in the early game. At least I assume so.
It's only going to be early game though.
Well, the thing is though, with a Jarvan like that, I think for the first 2 full clears you go for, if you're not successful in finding at least a kill for your team, the pick for me turns kind of useless because it's really relying on getting your laners ahead.
We've seen the rise of Jarvan again, like on the early game. I agree with that. For camps, you need something to happen. But also, if Zeri uses the dash before the Cataclysm, you can be really fast, but doesn't matter. You're inside of a ball.
It kind of holds them accountable, right? Yeah. And then you have the Vex, which
accountable.
And who holds Zeri accountable? Apparently it's going to be Zeri. It's going to be, of course, this double dive combo. Now, it's not the Hecarim. Hecarim was up and available. That's normally been Kana's go-to. But having the Jarvan and the Vex, it's something that we've seen a lot from this team. It allows them to play through the mid-jungle. We already kind of painted the nameplates on and said, this is what this team does. Doing it with slightly different champions, same kind of style.
And I love Syndra every time into the, like, once I see teams going for a hyper carry, it just screams in me, pick Syndra. I genuinely feel like we don't see this champion enough in terms of creating space with that scatter of the week, it really makes their life difficult, especially when you now also have a Jarvan on the side where you can cancel up the flak and drag. So I think having a champion like Syndra, super nice at just creating some space for your AD carry as well.
Flip side of that, you don't outrange a Jinx.
No.
You can sometimes threaten them if they position badly, definitely. And also, if you lose sight of Jarvan for a second, if he gets into his ult animation, you're not cancelling that. You are still in a mobile carry at that point, and you can be in real big trouble. What is the saving grace, though, is that if you're going onto the Syndra and the Zeri pops off, well, you're still pretty okay at that point. You kind of have this multi-pronged attack, and if one of them goes unchecked, you're still a little bit worried about that. Problem is, again, you got that Jinx on that side, pops off in the same way. I feel like this is still, for me, erring to the side of MNM's advantage.
Okay, my counter argument to you is that priority is the thing. And if you get on the objective first, you force them to move into you.
It's very true.
And outrange won't really matter. Currently, we see double range bot lane, so priority, depending on what they will respond with it from the side of MNM, will be a little bit scattered. Syndra will have at some point opportunity to push in the Vex as well. But I think what we have from MNM as well is the backline dive you can opt into. We already saw last weekend, well, you were casting the game, Dale on the Vex as well in Astralis, the way he was creating space on the Vex for his carry. So it's not to take it away. I think it's just very much execution based as well for both teams already.
Execution is absolutely the key, because if you're a couple of seconds off and someone dies, then you're basically just funneling in dominoes, right? You just go in one by one and you die. Now, speaking of this again with a heavy dive, one of the few anti-dive junglers is actually Viego. If you dive into Viego, you get the first kill. He turns around that fight so well. If you go in with the Jarvan, they die. Flag and drag stolen by the Viego is absolutely horrifying to deal with. I think the Gangplank very much helps MNM's case, though. You don't actually have to commit a body to the affair at that point. The Cannon Barrage goes down, and yes, you can have that move speed and the shield from the Lulu to stop a lot of that damage coming through, but you still got to disengage at that point.
Honestly, into the Gangplank, I wouldn't mind the Jace. I think you cheat the matchup a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, you're a little bit worried about Jarvan screwing your lane at that point.
I get that, but I feel like it already tells the story that they want to be down towards the bot side, so they're just going to completely go weak side. They're going to try and get in that engage, and granted, they don't have too much immediate engage right now from the side of Vanir. A lot of it comes down to the Syndra.
And it's still counter-engage.
It is a counter-engage for sure. And right now you can see that Zeri for sure is a lane you want to play for on the side of MNM. I mean, Gangplank's a strong side, weak side lane. Like, he can totally take over the games as well. So I think from Vanir, you very much look at a front to back composition. On the side of MNM, I think they have a little bit more to play around with in terms of space, like a good cast to come in from the Gangplank, the zoning you get from the ultimate as well, and the fact that you have backline dive with Royal Cannon that can fear up the enemies can make matters a little bit interesting from the side of Vanir, but still very much execution based between the two teams.
I think you've covered almost everything I could possibly say in that. I think it is very true. You've got so many options on one side. I think that MNM have too many ways to threaten the Zeri now. You still have a Jinx versus the Zeri. They're the ones pulling the button. Jinx hasn't got a lot of threat onto them. I think that really favors MNM if they get to the fights.
One team is waiting for the mistake. The other team just wants to go all in. So this is a game to separate these two teams from the same part of the standings. It is time to send it off to the one and only Hipbrain in trouble.
Thank you very much, guys. Hello, and once again, Trouble.
Yep.
We find ourselves seeing...
I see it, yeah.
Is that a Jinx?
It's the B1
First pick Jinx? Yeah.
The B1 Jinx coming back, baby. Although, I'm going to say that I do mess with it much more with this composition.
I absolutely adore the MNM comp, not just because there's a GP in there. Me and Jamada often rant about this champion on cast, but it's such a good comp.
It's just like Dusty. It's just a very traditional front to back with a bunch of security for your Jinx in the back line. You've got Gangplank ultimates in there. You've got walls coming up from the Jarvan. If they manage to slip into the back line, you've got Leona, you've got Vex fearing. You've got so much peeling and help and security for your Jinx that it's going to be up to Vanir's playmaking to find the right flanks.
But I also like, yes, it's very front to back in that sense, but also I do like the desk hit on in the sense that it's also fairly flexible. If that makes sense, like you have traditional front to back, but you also have, you know, things like the Vex and the Jarvan. You can jump into wherever they really please, depending on, you know, whoever Royal Cannon hits with the Shadow Surge. So I really like what MNM have got here. There's a lot of synergy within this team. Team fighting itself is going to be really nice. I think laning phase as well is going to be really interesting, at least from the top side. Royal Cannon and Canna, that's going to be a really horrible lane for Tahira to lane into.
Before we continue, I just want to give props to the art from the side of MNM.
Oh!
Because these look sick and they have little marshmallows on them. That is adorable.
I didn't see the little shoulder marshmallows.
Yeah, they
Oh,
all
that is
have a
cute.
marshmallow.
I was about to say, yeah, of course they got the team logo on their jersey, but I didn't see the little one. Oh, Dr. Chaos is so happy.
Sorry I took you out of game.
No, look at that smiley mushroom. Not mushroom.
Marshmallow.
Marshmallow.
Close enough.
I mean, they're very different. I like marshmallow.
Both very squishy.
Oh, God, I hate mushrooms so much. Oh, they're disgusting.
All right, let's go back. Let's bring it back. I'm going to loop us back. I'm looping. Bring it back.
I didn't know Vanir were all mannequins.
Fishing
That's
rod.
cool.
I'm looping us back. Right.
All right, let's go back to normal.
I love your point. I think these both teams are playing massively around their mid-jungle synergy, right?
Yeah.
Because on one side, you've got one of the best skirmishing duos in the game into Viego and Syndra. It used to be Rek'Sai Syndra a few seasons back. Now with Viego being added into the mix, he's a very strong dueler and he does really well when facilitated 4 and when you set up a lot of these kills, especially if Syndra hits the scat of the week. On the other side, the all-in potential by a Vex Jarvan is deadly.
Oh, poor Sahira. Does get a nice amount of damage actually with the minions onto Royal Cannon.
Honestly, there's not a single game that Sahira has not gotten level 2 ganked. At this point, he must just know it deep inside of him that he's getting level 2 ganked every single game. And he has been an absolute boss at evading most of them.
Yeah.
He managed to evade a Fear knockup by Royal Cannon right there. Doesn't even pull his flash. That's a big success for Sahira. And of course, Noodle, who manages to pull massively ahead on his first jungle clear.
I think Nilly, it's going to be, you know, it's just going to be farming. I don't think there's really much you're going to be able to achieve up here. Dr. Chaos has now decided that mid lane is up for target. Royal Cannon actually gets that personal space shield pop fairly easily. Looks for the Q, but here comes Chaos. He flashes forward. He misses the Zenith Blade. It's so sad as Noodle is looking for Babisa. Babisa flashes forward, gets the trial by fire. The movement speed is there. Backup is on the way. Can Kana come in and save the day? The flash over the wall. Babisa able to survive for just a little bit longer, but Noodle will answer back out here. Kana going to try and turn this one around. Noodle can steal the form for health if he needs it, as here comes Dr. Chaos. They find the knockup. Now he's got the barrels to work with. He's going to have to flash away as Dr. Chaos is sliding in. Noodle has nowhere to go. He does have the orange though, because he's a GP. He's going to lose the form too early, and Chaos will take him down.
Honestly, props to Dr. Chaos. He went from bot to mid to top to assist every single lane within the span of 4 just minutes into the game. And again, we mentioned how Noodle had already speed cleared his entire jungle due to the gank that Kana put up in the mid lane. Babisa, great evasion skills right there, getting away from Nille and Noodle. It's not enough, but again, look at your minimaps. Look where Dr. Chaos is. He's roamed all the way to the top side of the map, whilst his ADC is safe, whilst his mid lane is safe. So all in all, MNM again, they're playing their waves so perfectly, allowing for Dr. Chaos to pull out these assists on the map. Babisa will TP back into his lane, and honestly, that was a pretty favorable trade.
Yeah.
The side of MNM.
Let's go Red Buff Leona. See what Dr. Chaos can do with it. Probably not all that much, but has been able to help out the team massively here as Kevo able to dodge away from Mishigu. Let's talk a little bit about this bot lane. What do you make of this? We talked a little bit about the mid and the jungle stuff, but we haven't really hit on bot lane. Obviously, Dr. Chaos has been absent for a little while, but how does this lane go?
So generally speaking, a Jinx lane pushes really fast. Due to the fact that Zeri is an okay laner, but he's not the strongest laner. He thrives more when she's playing on these skirmishes with the Lulu behind her, when she has the space around. So in lane generally, especially when you're playing against a Jinx, there's very few AD carries that will deep push a Jinx. At this point, I think she's the most prominent carry when it comes to shoving down that bot lane and allowing a support to roam. And this is like having deja vu again. I think MNM have the strongest bot lane when it comes to shoving in the wave, allowing Dr. Chaos to roam around the map, collecting flashes, collecting kills. And this is in general how MNM play. We talked about their aggression in the early to mid game. They talked about it on the desk as well. I think Can and Royal Cannon have been doing a fantastic job at roaming the map. Their synergy has been insane. But honestly, seeing Dr. Chaos unleashed on the map like we're seeing right now must put so much pressure to Vanir to actually try and respond to all these quick movements on the map.
Absolutely. Well, I was seeing Noodle potentially set up for a dive here. It's going to actually go
Very
for the
nice
full
cover.
reset.
Yeah.
I think, Yeah, well, the fact that there was potential that Kana could have come over, the wave took a little bit longer to push in than they expected, and Babisa now got that level 6 mark, means actually a little bit harder once you've got the Cannon Barrage slows to work with.
It's also really well covered by the sort of Kana. He knows that Babisa does not have teleport. Does he die there? He's losing a lot of experience and gold, which is very, very valuable onto your Gangplank that can potentially one-shot the backline later on in the stages of the game. And talking about later on in the stages of the game, we'll go back to your initial point. I messed with this MNM draft. Front to back is insane. If you want to engage, you have the potential. If you want to disengage, you have the potential. You want to protect the Jinx, you've got every tool in your toolbox to do so.
Yeah.
From stuns to CC, to everything from Dr. Chaos, to a bunch of control on the board, and Fierce on Royal Cannon, to kind of literally building up walls around enemy carries, and of course Babista with the massive zoning with the barrels and the ultimate. I think this Jinx, I think Michigu, completely untouched.
Instant cleanse from Kevo, really lovely stuff, able to dodge away. Lots of movement on speed on that champion, so it's quite hard to actually deal with Zeri, but there we go. Dragon number 1 over to the side of Vanir.
Okay, so I wasn't paying attention exactly how Vanir were able to slip under the radar and sneak the dragon, because this should never happen in no circumstances. With the push that you have on Michigu, with the fact that Dr. Chaos was in lane and they could also actually push their advantages, with Royal Cannon in the mid lane, I think Kana should have probably been a little bit more proactive.
I think it's kind of actually being a step behind Noodle.
Yeah.
Was a little bit slow to that top lane. Noodle moved on, kind of made sure that Babista was safe before moving on. So at the moment, it feels like kind of just like one step behind his opponent in Noodle. But we are seeing now MNM shift multiple members up to the other objective, because there's no point trying to send everyone bot side now, because that dragon is gone. But you can also see the Vanir are bringing people up. So we might be in for a 5-on-5. Ultimates are aplenty here for everybody. Actually, I think we've got pretty much...
If you go through that choke point, Vanir are kind of screwed. Royal Cannon has his passive available.
This could be really messy. That Cannon Barrage is going to be absolutely crucial here. Here we go. Nilly puts down the Ornhorn. Only lands to knock up onto 1. And in jumps Dr. Chaos. They find themselves a kill onto Tahira already. He jumps in. Noodle going oh so low. He's feared. He's running. He's taken down by the Mistral Bolt as Nilly now slowed up. Michigu's trying to find a little bit of additional damage as Kevo able to just about speed away to safety. It's a jungler for mid and jungle. MNM come out on top, but they wanted more from that.
Oh my god, I think Royal Cannon's ultimate missing right there was so crucial for Vanir to not get wiped out, because had that actually hit someone, I think Vanir would have completely been taken off the board. Again, that's a very nice flank from Nile, but you cannot walk through that choke point where there's so much CC. And again, eyes on Royal Cannon's ultimate goes quite wide because of Noodle's ultimate right there. Had it been hit again, he would have the reset up on reset up on reset.
That would have been nice.
And look how low Vanir is. I think that Vex would have been able to completely wipe them off the board. All in all, though, it is a favorable trade for them in that particular choke point. And
what?
I was about to say they must take the Rift Herald as well with the members remaining, but again, Vanir, first in the play, the Dragon, and then the Rift Herald. I feel like MNM are a bit too slow to react. Vanir are sneaking neutral objectives underneath their noses. They have push in every single lane. They're winning every single lane, yet when it comes to setting up that control vision and pushing their advantages through their lanes, they're kind of lacking on momentum.
I guess they were just worried because Kana was dead, but they didn't have that smite and the Rift Herald could be stolen. That's the only thing I can really think that would happen there. Because it is a bit weird that they just gave up a Rift Herald. And like you said, Vanir have been able to now sneak 2 neutral objectives. They can look to try and push some plates and get some additional gold on the team, because they are behind 2,000 gold here to the side of MNM. So MNM up in gold, but down in neutral objectives. So I want to see MNM push this advantage they've got. As Kevo has to be a little bit careful, taking up a lot of damage from Michigu. And look who's coming. The squadder here. And Kevo's just going to have to back off.
Royal Cannon will have his passive up available in just a bit, but he doesn't have his ultimate to connect it, so they're just going to back off. And again, you
Almost
see
got it.
The push in the mid lane, the push in the bot lane, they're getting free tower platings onto Michigu because of the threat of that dive. Now that the mid lane is being depushed, Royal Cannon is going to go straight back into his mid lane. And again, think about it as you're trying to contest for all these neutral objectives.
Yeah.
Since you have 3 pushing lanes for the side of MNM, you should always, always, always have vision in that river, meaning that every time Vanir tried to get through a choke point, you've got Gangplank ult, you've got Vex ult, you've got Leona ult. No one should get away alive trying to walk in the river.
The big thing as well is now that they took this 2 plates bot lane, Rift Herald has to be way more effective than just 2 plates for Noodle. Otherwise, it feels like they didn't really gain anything off the back of it. So we want to see what Noodle's going to do with it. Maybe setting up for something onto Sahira, maybe just worried that Kanna's about. But it looks like the rotation is just bot lane, bot lane, bot lane. Yeah. They know Babista's fine in top lane. It's GP versus Ornn. He's not going down without additional help. And I feel like Noodle probably doesn't want to camp the Ornn at this point.
You think this is a 4-man dive bot lane, but I'm going to pull a Joker card out my sleeve and I'm going to tell you Cannon Barrage from Babista.
Of course.
It's a 4.5 versus 4 in the bot lane. And every single time, Vanir are so threatened out of this that they have to rotate both Noodle and Sahira. Noodle and Sahira have to play constantly towards the bot side of the map, while Mishigu is cashing in on plates. And the problem here is that Noodle has a Rift Herald in his pocket. 10 seconds, they must pop it mid lane, create a point of pressure onto that lane, and then move straight into the bot side river. That will be the call, because Nila has also started walking down the river.
They've got the call of the Forge God. There's the ultimate. Royal Cannon's out of the fight. He does have a potion
teleport,
so he's trying to heal up, but yeah, looking to maybe go for a teleport. They've actually just turned their attention towards the dragon. It was a ruse all along, Trouble. Vanir playing fantastic around these objectives. And it looks like that's just going to be it. Dragon secured. MNM just going to give it up. Rift Herald still not been used by Noodle. And Royal Cannon's going to be back in mid lane in time, or can teleport if needs be. So the ping's going down. They might actually still look to try and force the plates. They got a minute until they fall off.
They're gonna catch them onto the rotation right now. This is a cannon wave pushing. They have 4 members around the mid lane. If they pop the Rift Herald right here, they can cash in and put some money into Sahira's pocket as well. They're going to decline that. There's not a lot of time left. There's less than a quarter, and Noodle is sprinting for his red buff. I'm wondering if this is going to be a last-minute desperation play, because Dr. Chaos has read it. He's roamed all the way mid lane. Noodle has to pop it down mid lane, which means if the Jarvan is around, if the Leona is around, it's instantly gonna get declined from Sahira.
Well, Noodle will now show himself with the Shroud.
Nice.
And it actually looks like they're just going to go for Nilly instead. Hit by the barrel, flashing forward. The trial by fire's on, and that is going to be a kill. Kana able to find it. As MNM get himself the kill in the top lane, but at the cost of losing a couple of plates here in the mid. It shouldn't really result in anything else. It's just a bit of gold, but I actually don't think this Rift Herald was used all that effectively by Vanir.
It wasn't very worth, because when MNM were over the rotation, Noodle speedrun his red buff.
Yeah.
This means they lost their opening to take more than 2 turret platings that the Rift Herald should give you. Whilst if you look in the bot lane, there were only 2 turret plates remaining on the bot side tower.
Caught out by the Spectral Maw. They get himself the Solar Flare. He's locked in place. Jumping out, but that's going to be Kevo able to secure the kill. Cannon's joined in. He's thrown himself the ultimate. He's got the fear. Noodle's pinned underneath the tower, but he's going oh so low. Royal Cannon can't quite find the kill yet. No, he can't. The Mistral Bolt goes wide. Here comes Kana. Kevo's turning it back around, and in jumps Kevo. Kana instantly gets polymorph, goes into the Cataclysm, finds himself the lockdown, finds himself a kill, but it's been too low. He's taken way too much damage, and Noodle finds the shutdown. Vanir coming up absolutely massive in the bot lane.
Ooh, and we mentioned that Vanir need to outplay their opponents individually. They need to find the flanks, they need to find the opportunities, they need to find the 1 versus lesser number than you have to win these fights, and they found it right there. They turned a 3 versus 2 to a 3 versus 1 to another 3 versus 1, and they come out victorious from that. So yet again, that was a really great dive towards the bot side of the map. They catch Mishigu off guard, they kill him off, and then while Dr. Chaos is trying right there, you'll see that he misses the Everfrost. Royal Cannon misses the Everfrost, and the fact that he does not get that reset onto Kevo means that he cannot move further forward. It has been 2 instances where Royal Cannon has not been able to find resets where he could have wiped the entire map clean.
Kana just couldn't get enough damage off as well. That was messy for the side of MNM.
Again,
considering they had a pretty gold lead, big gold lead.
The comp that Vanir's running,
Yeah.
the Syndra, the Viego, the Zeri with Lulu, love these skirmishes.
Yes.
They love the back and forth. They don't necessarily love the 5 versus 5 because if they don't have their own there to tank for them, it becomes a little bit difficult to just push forward because they don't have an actual initiator on their side. But if they're gonna play the skirmishes, they're gonna find one target to 2 targets. They're gonna take it every single time. And you know what they're gonna take as well? The third neutral objective on the map, which is the fourth, sorry, because they already have 2 targets. Yeah, it is gonna be the second Rift Herald that could potentially open them yet another tier 1 tower on the map.
Well, there goes the tower in the bot lane. Is picked up by Michigu. But I don't know. MNM have had like a big gold lead for a lot of this game. It feels like they've been actually...
They still do. They're 1.5K, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad lead by any means, but it felt like, they had a bigger lead earlier. But they've just been sleeping on these objectives, and then that bot lane rotation into the skirmish, which Vanir took, it just feels like MNM are playing well in some areas, but then other areas, it just feels a little lackluster. Like, they're just a little bit behind the pace of Vanir. And if Vanir keep this pace up, they'll be looking at Soul. This is an Infernal map as well, so it's an Infernal Soul. That would be terrifying into this team.
Again, I feel like MNM are a pretty good team on their macro and their decision-making when it's mid-early. And right now, they've kind of lost it on the mid-game scenario. I think this is due to the fact that they don't necessarily put down vision on the objectives they want to play towards. Whether it's the Herald or it's the Dragon, they sort of neglect to put down the vision, which means they can't blindly walk into an Ornn. You can't blindly walk into Syndra's face, because this is going to be extremely deadly for you, because your Jarvan is not that tanky yet. But right now, they've understood what the strength of the comp does, is bunching up as a 5-man ball of death and inviting your opponents to come to you if they want to go for that dragon. Oh.
Nuda's going to pop the Herald, and that's actually going to have to force someone out to deal with it. Unless they just want to give up the charge onto the tower. But Beast is setting the barrels up just out of vision. Gonna hit the free chain actually onto Noodle. It's only a little bit of chunk, but actually jumping in with the ultimate. Instantly, Royal Cannon is blown up and Kana jumps in alone. Here's the Ornn Horn, here's the knock-up, here's the turnaround. But Beast on his lonesome. Kevo is gonna run him down, and MNM just like that lose 3 members. Michigu's been caught sleeping, and Kevo's gonna be able to run him through. A double kill for Kevo. MNM just look scattered. They look lost in that fight.
And that was the crucial word. Scattered. They don't want to play the straight up 5v5. At the start of the game, we said it's all going to be about mid-jungle synergy for MNM. Kana and Royal Cannon. Well, guess what? I don't see the synergy at all in all these team fights. You've got the perfect team fight scenario. They're not using their tools properly to engage as a 5-man. I get it that Cannon sees the opening right there on Noodle, but he gets jumped on instantly. There's no stopwatch to keep him alive. And once everyone focuses away from Kevo, we mentioned Zeri. She just wants to be alone to run around the map, especially when there's no frontliner, because they've all dived in and they've all died. Kevo just gets to free reign the entire map.
There's so much crowd control. You can't jump in alone because you just get chained, CC'd, can't move dead. That's literally what it's like jumping in alone to this Vanir comp. It's hard for MNM here.
It's become really difficult because that Zeri has snowballed out of control.
Yeah.
5, 1, and 3. 2 items into the bag.
Yeah.
This is going to be shredding through tanks at this point who have not yet had the chance to build items. I'm looking at you, Javan the 4th. I'm looking at you, Leona, because these are the only 2 tanks that are going to be in the front line. Leona as a support doesn't have the same cash income, which means she's going to be even squishier than the Javan. The Javan doesn't have the Sterak's up yet, which means she's going to be even squishier and even more susceptible to dying. Again, MNM need to get their stuff together. They need to make sure they're diving in all at the same time, or at least bunching up as a ball to protect the Jinx. Because twice now, Michigu has been left completely alone, and Kevo loves isolated targets on the
Absolutely. And I think that's the weakness, is you can jump in with the MNM
tank,
team.
by the way.
Doesn't mean you have to. Yeah, Kana's, I mean, you say tank, I say 1 item. That's a 1-item Jarvan,
Okay,
let's be real.
that is your tank in your team. I'll put it into quotation.
Quote-unquote tank.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard one here for them now. Royal Cannon needs to be a little less itchy on that trigger finger. Yes, he landed the ultimate. That doesn't mean you have to take it. Sometimes it's just best just
You know what?
be okay, but the Spectrum Ward's going to connect, and Royal Cannon's going to lose his entire health bar, flashing away, taken down. They're going to jump in, and Noodle has the invincibility. It's already 2 kills for the side of Vanir, and Dr. Chaos is being chased underneath the tower. The slow's going to connect, but they are able to get away.
That was so well played by Noodle. Honestly, the second the passive is used for the side of Royal Cannon, you don't have any crowd control, you don't have nothing to protect you. Kana cannot dive in to save you because you're in a numbers disadvantage. Dr. Chaos can't do that either. They end up losing both the mid and the jungle from the side of MNM. And Vanir, we mentioned how they have to outplay MNM in the details. They've done this so far. They've split them apart, and you can call it overextending from the side of MNM. You can call it not coordinating properly with the team fight composition that they have to play as a 5-man. Sure, but Vanir have been so good at capitalizing on every single mistake thrown at them and snowballing ahead.
And it's off the back of Noodle. Noodle has been playing incredibly well. Yes, Kevo has a flashy KDA and has been picking up a lot of fights, but Noodle has been so active on the map to enable the team to get to this level.
100% kill participation, and actually Noodle is one of the highest kill participation percentage contenders in NLC overall.
Yeah, and you can see,
He's the Viking of Vanir.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of a funny one when Viking had a pretty good game, but I wouldn't say like a carry game last game. But yeah, I get the point at the least. But yeah, no, I think this is kind of a display of what Kevo does. Noodle does when he's, active on the map, when he is this high kill participation jungler. All of his lanes are enabled. Yeah, Nilly's not enabled, but he just has to press R. That's his job. And he's accepted that because he picked Ornn into GP. But Kevo, he has been heavily enabled here. Sahara, we were worried about playing Syndra into a Vex Jarvan lane. It's Vex Jarvan jungle duo.
Managed to evade every single gank thrown his way. Dr. Chaos went mid, Kana went mid, Royal Cannon tried to kill him, nothing worked. And at this point, they're trying to pull the flank for the side of MNM. At this point, you're 3,000 gold behind. Yes, it's not much, but you need to make sure that the next time you pull the trigger, it actually works. And they need to pull the trigger pretty quickly, because in 50 seconds time, this is going to be Infernal Soul for the side of Vanir, which means that if the scare misses they've been pulling on you, they're going to be doing that much more pop damage.
And look at that, 42 seconds, Dragon's coming up, action will be breaking out. MNM cannot give this up. I genuinely think Infernal Soul is just, that's it, the final nail for MNM. Vanir are already far enough ahead. They've already got the item leads. They've got the ornaments as well coming through onto the side of these Vanir members. So not only have they got item leads as it is, they've then kind of got that extra half item of stats just being given to them for free. They need to make this work as the barrel comes in. There's the Call of the Forge God. Gonna miss as Chaos flashes out of it. But Babista heavily chunked and has to burn his summoner spell. Still has the Cannon Barrage available. Has teleport to rejoin into the
my
action.
god, Royal Cannon!
Royal Cannon, I didn't even notice he's all on his lonesome. Has the ultimate to be able to re-enter in. And now they're looking for Dr. Chaos. Lands a Solar Flare onto Kevo. He's able to jump away, but now it's Kana who pins them in place. But he's going to lose his life. And just like that, Vanir have found two. The Cannon Barrage is absolutely nothing. It's going to do nothing. Royal Cannon trying to lock people down, but it's a double kill for the side of Kevo. And Vanir have turned this around yet again. MNM have crumbled. They have been scattered. They just look completely discoordinated right now, and it is costing them everything. Infernal Soul will go over to Vanir.
We mentioned every single time, but MNM have to attack as a one-man unit. You either attack as a one-man unit or you defend as a one-man unit. They tried to attack from 3 different directions, and Vanir, yet again, they love to skirmish. They have skirmishing champions. Viego will one-on-one you. Kevo on that Zeri will want to 1v1 you as well. And here you see, you might be wondering why Royal Cannon walks so far out. That's because they don't have vision. They don't know if they're still chasing Royal Cannon towards the top side of the map or if they're gonna turn around. MNM are trying to pull the trigger. Royal Cannon is too far out. By the time he's in, Kana has died. Mishigu is out of the picture. Yep. There's just no coordination right there. And again, it all goes down to vision and that last desperation play, because as you mentioned, a Syndra with Infernal Soul, a Zeri with Infernal Soul, where they can proc it as well from so far away. It's going to be so much damage going over towards the MNM members, and most of them are extremely squishy.
Yeah, it's a rough one here for the side of MNM. I really loved this comp, and they had an amazing early game, but like you said, mid-game, it just felt like they fell apart. I think, Kana didn't do a particularly amazing job of keeping up with Noodle on the map, and Noodle has just been able to enable this team. And now it's at the point where it's just in Kevo's hands. If Kevo doesn't miss position, which he hasn't done so far, I genuinely don't see a window for MNM to come back. And every time Kevo seems like he's on his own, there's always one or two people just sitting out of vision, ready to come and turn whatever happens to him.
Let's say it as it is. If we take from lane to lane and what these champions provide for their team, you will see that at this point, Royal Cannon has fallen off. He's gone more for the anti-shield / I'm gonna pin you down build, not the popper build, because he can't do that anymore. He's fallen behind, and...
What is Kana doing? Well, I think this might just be Babista losing his life potentially, although they do use a lot to keep him alive. Barrel's not going to come out from Babista.
So, going back to my point, this is a Syndra that will one-shot anyone, whilst Royal Cannon is playing crowd control central here, trying to keep a Jinx alive. That is not even fair at this point. It's 2.5 items Jinx. This is not there yet, trying to put down the damage. You don't have a steroid support to boost you up like the Lulu. All you have is a bit of CC. Kana!
Get out of the bush, bro! What are you doing?
Oh, I see what he's doing. Okay. He's camping for the Hail Mary play. 25 seconds for the Baron. I'm starting to like the play from Kana right here, because if he manages to sneak away the Baron, this could potentially give a second life to MNM.
Okay.
I see it. You know what, Hiprin? I see it.
I agree.
He's been there for 5 minutes.
They don't have any vision of the Baron, so it's a complete guessing game whether or not he goes in. Or even if they start it, yes, Michigan can maybe get vision of the
They're showing Kevo in the mid lane. They do now.
Okay, so now they're moving over.
So,
MNM are going to be aware of this.
and Royal Cannon have to move a little bit forward. They have to drop their far side alteration, I think it's called, into the pit.
They're going to see him. He's wasted all that time.
Flag and drag flash. Flag and drag flash.
There's a blast cone.
I believe. Flag and drag flash.
They need to check it out. The cannon barrage is actually going to provide vision. Noodle's going to take a lot of damage from the Baron here at the back of the pit. He's going so low. Kana's coming in. He's got the flag. He's got the drag. He's got the blast cone. He's going to flash in. He's going to... Oh, he's not going to steal it. It's Sahira who secures the Baron. And just like that, they find their kill. They find their Baron. MNM, so much time wasted in a bush, and they get nothing.
You know what? I'll commend him for the play. I have to. They went... We talked about this. He went for the Hail Mary. That was the only way they could potentially stall the game from ending, and it just didn't go their way. That was the last chance they had. Nile stopping all the backs as well. Only Michigo is back in basic defense. It's not going to be enough because you're versus 4 members.
They're teleporting in. They've got to make this work. Michigo's trying to dodge away. Tower number 1 is going to go down. Babista is half HP. Solar Flare onto a couple of members, but they don't have any follow-up to work with. Kana's back alive. They've still got this tower. They have ultimates available, but the cannon barrage isn't available. The cataclysm isn't available. Kevo gets chunked, and in they jump. Kevo with a flash, pops the ultimate to keep himself alive, and that's going to be a kill. Onto Noodle for now, but look at the damage coming in from Kevo. He is ripping through everybody. Underneath the tower he goes. Chaos is trying to lock him in place, but the shielding, the healing is just way too much. Vanir coming up absolutely massive, and they will be able to take this game. Only Cannon, only Babista left. The health bars are low, but they're not low enough. There is no miracle here for the side of MNM. 29 minutes on the clock, and Vanir squash MNM.
Vanir once again solidifying themselves on the top 4, top 5 of the standings, showing why, even though most of the times they're not favored by draft, I'm gonna give them that, they managed to pull off the clutch factor, because that's what it was here. You can say MNM underperformed, they overextended, but it takes a really fast and clever team to capitalize, punish mistakes, and also push their advantage forward. And I'm gonna give this one to Vanir. Also,
I'm glad you're gonna give it to Vanir.
At the end, we saw a glimpse of what the composition of MNM could do.
Yes, there was a glimmer, but it was too little.
It's a shame
it was
we
too
didn't
late.
see it the entire game here, Frame.
Unlucky. MNM, they had a really, really good start, but it did crumble, and just an amazing read there from Vanir to be able to make that game just go so favorably for them. We're going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have Arkaram standing by for some interviews, so we'll see you in a second.
Vanir taking down MNM, even though in the Champion Select, most people believed that it was an MNM game, but in the end, it was actually Vanir. Noodle just playing so well on that Viego, just destroying everybody on every single part of the map and just controlling the jungle. That was a perfect game coming in from Noodle, but now, with the interviews, I have coaches with me. And to begin with, it's going to be on the Noodle side, on the Vanir side, it's going to be Flash. Hello?
Hello.
Congratulations on the victory to start off. And I would like to go into the Champion Select, if possible. It was an interesting Champion Select, but I think you chose that Champion Select like in reply to what you were seeing from MNM, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. That was our plan from the beginning. I think we could play a little bit better in the first phase. However, it went as we wanted to.
Tell me about the idea of not having as much engaged, but most disengaged, and how to execute this team composition versus MNM.
I mean, the plan in the Champions Select was simple. We saw that they would like to come into us. So since we have the Enchanter on the bot lane, we need some kind of engage or disengage, depending on what they will go for the last pick. So we were going with the Ornn because it fit. It was a good fit for us, and it was also a decent matchup on top lane.
Also, when you saw the Jarvan, it's a really specific jungler. Like, if you get a lead, he becomes really strong. But if you're capable of slowing down that early game and allowing Viego to rise into the middle of the jungle, eventually Viego will be a little bit more useful to the team composition if Jarvan falls a little bit behind. What was like your communication to the team before the game, looking into this Jarvan?
I mean, they are on the timer. We went with the two champions that are outscaling pretty hard, to be honest. Also, they have Jinx and GP. However, their jungle has to do something early game, and we weren't. They were on the timer to do something. We were just chilling whole game, and we have the victory.
You guys had a lot of vision. Obviously, the objective control was amazing as well. You guys got all the dragons. This is like a good showcase of Vanir's strength. Tell me, in terms of scrims, in terms of practices, is this what we can look for the future for Vanir?
We were focusing on the beginning of our scrims just to play as clean early game as possible. The early season showed that we have a little bit of problems in the mid game, so that's what we were focusing on for at least 2 or 3 weeks recently. And right now, I'm just pretty sure that our gameplay is pretty decent, and we are looking forward into playoffs.
And there was a big meme of the V, right? Okay, really good early game, mid game, and then come back into the late game. But just as you told me, I believe Vanir are showing signs of progress, and you guys are capable of dealing with that. Tell me, going through the rest of the split, is there any team you guys want to play against so you can try new things, or take game by game?
I mean, we are trying to implement new things, obviously, just to prepare for the playoffs. However, we will see how it will go. What we are looking forward to play against, obviously, are Bifrost, X7, and Axel. Also, we would like to beat Riddle because we didn't the last time. We threw a bit, so it's time for a little bit of revenge.
I want to pick up on that point of the playoffs because I seem to get the point that you guys are already looking into the playoffs, like you guys are already locked in. Obviously, when you look into the middle of the standings, there's a lot of people fighting off the 4th place until the 6th place. There's a big pack in the middle. How do you feel about that? Is the team afraid of, because if you lose 1 week, like 2 days, you may fall off, but if you win, you may get to the playoffs. It's really tense right now. How do you guys feel about this middle of the pack in the standings?
I mean, we are pretty confident at on our gameplay. We know what we have to do. We are not really scared of any of the teams. If mistakes are happening, then it's something to learn from. That's obvious. However, we are not scared of anyone, and we'll try to play as good as possible.
I like that. Thank you so much for the interview, Flash, and good luck on the next weekend throughout the split, man.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
there you go. Vanir are not afraid of anyone so far. They believe the mid game is a little bit soft, so the meme of the V is dying now. And let's see how they fare out throughout the rest of the split. Now, on the other side, MNM showed signs of strength in the beginning of the game. They had a really good composition to get the hard engage on, to get the Jinx ahead as well, and then eventually getting to that late game and just destroying the team of Vanir. But there's something that was missing, which means I'm going to talk with the coach. Hikin, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing fine, man. Pleasure to have you with me again. And I love the champion select that you brought in. A lot of engage, a lot of ideas to get the Jinx ahead. Also with the Royal Cannon on the Vex to try and get to the backside. What do you think happened in the beginning of the game? Because you guys were pulling ahead, but out of nowhere, Vanir got the lead on the game.
I think it was around 14 or so minutes, maybe, I don't remember exactly, when Zeri got a couple of kills bot, which kind of turned the game a bit when they really shouldn't have. I think we were 25 CS up and doing really well in the game, and then kind of gifted them a couple with small miscommunication there. So, afterwards, we just couldn't get back on track, I guess.
And when we look into Kana with the Ekrim, you can see him on the map. He's always active, trying to get any single sort of burning summoner spells and then going back for the kills, control on the jungle as well. But the Jarvan gameplay is really different from what we usually see from Kana. Do you think that he was not used to this champion? Do you think like it was Noodle stopping him? What do you think happened on the jungle?
I think we played Jarvan a bunch in scrims, and it's gone usually pretty well. And I think Kana can definitely play very well. And it's not as different to Hecarim. It can be a bit more primary engaged, but I think it's a good pick for us. We play pretty well, and today we just I think Zeri got a bit too fed off of a couple of fights, and then the Jarvan loses value when you actually don't have the burst to actually burst down anyone with the J4 Vex combo.
And that is something that I'm going to ask. What do you feel about the Zeri? Because we're still trying to get customized to what that champion brings into the table. Obviously, the Jinx is still going to be the Jinx, Aphelios as well. But Zeri is coming up with a few good results. I think people are now trying to get to use that champion. How do you feel about that champion specifically?
I think if we played it better, Zeri wouldn't have gotten to do much that game. Like I said, I think we had 25 CS lead bot side at 12 minutes in the game. Doing really well. Jinx is pretty good against Zeri because you outrange very easily. But once she gets half an item ahead or something like that, then with an eagle on her side, on Zeri's side, it gets very difficult then to catch her and actually burst her down. So it's a good champion, but I don't think is as broken as some other people maybe think.
Yeah, it's not meta decisive. It's cool, it's funny to see as well, but it's not that meta decisive. You know what I say? If you actually go down the stair, you can go 2 up, and I think MNM is going to do that. Your team is looking wonderful so far, and thank you so much for this interview, man.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. And there you go. This is the wrap up for this game. MNM getting close, but Vanir taking the win, which means now it is time for the game of the week. JDXL versus X7. Who's going to be at the top of the standings? The throne is waiting for one king to rule them all. But we have to see after this quick break. I'll see you soon. Don't go anywhere. Game on.